Salute. Bow. Salute, 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 salute. Welcome to the channel. Appreciate y'all time. Nocturnal thoughts. Quick video. Get out the way. In this video, how does Errol Spence? I'm not advertising, by the way. I'm not advertising. How does Errol Spence defeat Danny Garcia? I just finished a quick little drop set, nothing special, just a little maintenance. All right. How does Errol Spence defeat Danny Garcia? First of all, Errol Spence is going to have to be, you know what I'm saying, brains, heart, and his balls. All firing on all cylinders. You know what I'm saying, 100%. He has to perform at his very optimal. He has to be fast. He has to be strong. Use his instincts. Use his reflexes. He can't get comfortable. He can't lax off. He has to be prepared to get hit and take that punch and walk through it or eat it. Similar to Mayweather versus Shane Mosley.
Mosley! Yeah, Mosley showing a little feint before he throws the punches.
I feel like, I hate when I say that. Any grown men hate when they say what they feel. I hate when I say anything that I feel. I don't even like talking about feelings. I look at it like this. You know, this is boxing. Anything can happen. Danny Garcia is definitely a threat. And we all know he does have power. Not to say he's the most powerful puncher in the welterweight division, but you cannot just overlook the fact that he does have power. So he can crack. And in Errol Spence's case, he has to be ready to go through that fire. Take Danny Garcia's best shot and keep coming in order to break his spirit. Toney, when he was asked who he think would win against Danny Garcia versus Errol Spence, he says Danny Garcia, because Danny Garcia has more experience. So Toney said, never mind about the car accident. I think that Danny Garcia would beat Errol Spence because of his experience. Which is interesting to me, because I was thinking about Toney before I saw this interview, asking him who he thought would win. And you know what made me think of Toney was Toney's fight against Roy Jones Jr. And that came from me watching Danny Garcia versus Lamont Peterson and Danny Garcia versus Keith Thurman, because it was two telltale signs in both of those fights that reminded me of Toney against Roy Jones Jr. I could see that Danny Garcia likes his boxers to stand still right in front of him, so like a heavy bag, so he can throw power shots and power hooks. Like Keith Thurman said, Keith Thurman formula to beat Danny Garcia was 1-2, get out the way, 1, get out the way, 1-2, get out the way, 1, get out the way. He said very seldomly will he try to do 1, 2, 3, 4 punches, because Danny Garcia is basically a counter puncher and he's timing your punches. And if you sit there in the pocket with him, he's just going to try to catch you with a hook, like Amir Khan. Amir Khan thought he had so much speed that he could just sit there and rapid fire off 4 or 5 punch combinations. Therefore, he got knocked out by Danny Garcia. Keith Thurman said mathematically he could beat Danny Garcia using just his rhythm, in and out movement, and not staying in the pocket too long. So 1, 2, get out the way. 1, 1, get out the way. 1, 2, get out the way. Right? And there was a time where you could see Keith Thurman's side-to-side movement completely flustered Danny Garcia, and Danny Garcia couldn't get a range on him, and he had a mental breakdown in the middle of the ring, and it looked something like this.
Darting in now and then.
Like that. Right? That's what I saw. Another time I saw Danny Garcia have a similar mental breakdown is when he was fighting Lamont Peterson. Lamont Peterson was doing a whole lot of footwork. Back, forth, skipping, come back around, dance around the ring, jab, 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 circle out. You know what I'm saying? He kept him on off the line, kept using the whole ring to his ability. Pop, 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 circle out, pop, pop, pop. You know what I'm saying? Dance in, dance out. I seen Danny Garcia mentally break down to that, where he...
Garcia. Would you describe this one? I think that's one of I think that's a Peterson move. Why'd you tell him between rounds?
Stand still and fight me, but he did this little... Danny Garcia did this little dance with his feet, like on some twinkle toes, like I can dance too, but it was more like stop running around and fight me. And Danny Garcia did one of these. It was a mental deficient. It was a mental breakdown for me from what I saw. Similar to James Toney. James Toney got himself dancing to the beat of Roy Jones Jr.'s drum.
Showboating by Jones. He tempts fate, I think. Left hook, and down goes. Here's part of the debate going on with hand gestures and fists. You don't see
with the move that, you know, we all know Roy Jones got from watching roosters fight, watching cockfights. You know what I'm saying? Where a rooster would flare out his wings like that and cause the other rooster to react, then he would attack. Same thing, Roy Jones Jr. jumped out like this. James Toney jumped out like this. Roy Jones Jr. caught him with his pants down, pop, 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 came in there and put him down on the ground. That is like an infamous, you know what I'm saying, memorial time in boxing. If it would have happened in today's time, with the way, you know what I'm saying, people re-edit videos, that video would have had millions and millions and millions of views overnight. You know what I'm saying? And that's what made me think of James Toney and Roy Jones Jr. when I seen Danny Garcia break down fighting Lamont Peterson and break down fighting Keith Thurman. If Errol Spence can get Danny Garcia to fight at his pace, to dance to the beat of his drum, I see Danny Garcia having the same mental breakdowns versus Errol Spence Jr. Errol Spence Jr. is going to have to outbox, outbrawl, out-counterpunch, have more heart, have more brains, and have more balls than Danny Garcia to win this fight. Period, point blank. You know, other thing that Errol Spence has to do, in my opinion, that he's going to have to overcome getting hit. I think we all want to see what's going to happen when Errol Spence gets hit. Not that Errol Spence can just go in there and just, you know what I'm saying, want to get hit by everything in the kitchen sink by Danny Garcia, but he has to say at one point in time in this fight, I got to expect for Danny Garcia to land that powerful hook, and I got to eat it and put on a poker face and walk through it, because that's what's going to defeat Danny Garcia's. That's what's going to mentally break Danny Garcia, is when he throws everything into that shot and Errol Spence doesn't go anywhere, and that's what's going to make make or break Danny Garcia. You know what I'm saying? So similar to Shane Mosley versus Mayweather, when Mayweather had to take Shane Mosley's power shot and then continue to outthink him, outbox him, outperform him, outclass him, and defeat him in the, you know what I'm saying, the entirety of the bout. Shane Mosley get off his power shots. After that, Mayweather dominates Shane Mosley. Keith Thurman mentally broke down Danny Garcia. Lamont Peterson mentally broke down Danny Garcia. Errol Spence is going to have to mentally break down Danny Garcia in a similar fashion, using his footwork, you know what I'm saying, and pressure. So he has to be smart, hard, balls, and tactical. That's the way I see Errol Spence defeating Danny Garcia. Y'all let me know what y'all think. My thoughts. I appreciate your time. I'm out.